Dover. Oh, hello everyone. Painting stream. Quality. Doing. Taking it. Finally, time to start doing something about the massive backlog of Imperial Guard modules on. I don't know. Hello, Gab. What camera am I using? I have Logitech Pro as my webcam, and then I'm actually using phone secondary focused. A application called Irian Camera. Links the camera to the voice keeps cutting off for some reason. I wonder if I need to bring this microphone. Is that better? The background environment is pretty quiet. I have to imagine that it due to the microphone being too far away. Let me know if that sounds better. That's very strange. On the audio didn't fix the cutoff, huh? I have no idea what could be causing that. Showing everything as normal on like the audio input capture. This does something to it. Yeah, the buzzing sound when you touch it is normal. It shouldn't really have anything to do with cutting in and out like that. I'm trying to listen to my own stream right now to see if I can that cutting in and out. Yeah, Gab. I'm listening to my own audio. I'm listening to the stream on my end, and I don't hear any cutting in and out. That might be on your end. All right. Hopefully, just getting close solved it. I'm gonna just try and enunciate as much as I can and speak a little louder. That might help. Um, in the meantime, let's actually get to painting now. Bit of palette paper, and we can get started. Now, I always just use some regular grocery store parchment paper as my palette paper. It does mean that I have to kind of cut it to size myself. Normally, I would use scissors to do this, but I don't know where I put them. Make do. Sharp objects are sharp objects after all. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing these painting streams somewhat regularly, probably at least once a week. Like I said, I have an enormous backlog of Imperial Guard troops, vehicles, all that I would really love to get done right around when the new codex is. Very interested to see what that holds. I think that we're getting a whole bunch of new Krieg and yellow. Lots of new Krieg. Hoping for like a command squad, maybe engineers. That would be very cool. I think we're definitely getting like an artillery piece. Fun is. So for the Lehman Russ here, I'm really just getting some quick base coats down. Started work on this a while ago. Friends over for hobby group meetup day. Funny, I don't actually have a lot of like IRL friends that do Warhammer, but I do have a bunch of friends that do like Gundam and stuff. If any of you have seen one of my older videos, so the webcam is a Logitech, I believe it's called a 922 Pro, and then I am simply using my cell phone as the webcam here using a program called Iriun Webcam. That's spelled IRIUN. Yeah, like I was saying, you have a lot of friends that do like Gundam stuff. You had watched the old speed painting video, featured the Brute, saw all of them That was when I started on this. It went back on the shelf for a while because that is always what tends to happen with my personal projects, because painting things for YouTube videos tends to take priority. I feel like this, doing some streams, is going to be a good way to both, connect with the community, but also finally get some progress done. I have still not really found a perfect way. Painting tanks by hand, it's always a no problem. I suppose I could probably use masking tape, but masking tape has always kind of let me down before, not really left me with perfect lines. I'm gonna have to try and be careful. Do it the old-fashioned way. At some point, I think I'm gonna have to figure out how to play music during these. I I don't know how some other streamers get away with it, where they play just like normal music. Um, I had always watched a lot of Morty and Glory, and he always takes like song requests from people. And frankly, I have no idea how it is he gets away with playing just like normal copyrighted music on stream, not getting claimed or something. Made a little mistake there and hit black, but most of that's gonna get solid color. I think it's perfectly acceptable to be pretty messy base coats, because almost always have to go over them in some capacity later on in the process. So it can be messy and then about being. How was the picture quality on the actual painting cam? Curious how it looks on the other side of the. All right, pretty good, pretty good. Now, at some point, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do some kind of weird multi-cam. Also, want to stream my preparations for Golden Demon, but at the same time, I also want to film that to make a video out. Typically, I film channel videos on this very same phone. Can't do both. So the final intended color for the tank, I can actually show you. Give me 1 second. So it's going to end up looking like this guy. Be doing camo. This base color is going to be similar to this lighter color here, and then, you know, after we wash and dry brush it a little bit, it'll get closer to this. Yeah, I'll be putting in the camo stripes soon. Yeah, so that guy is a proxy. You can use it for either a Praetor, or you can have it be the transport variant, the Crassus as well. I really love the look of the Praetor. Unfortunately, the rules are just kind of... And, you know, I say that as if I actually ever get to play the game. Which I don't. Really gotta go and join a local club or something. Yeah. Painting to a very high standard and filming it at the same time is quite difficult. So I tend to not paint on camera the most difficult parts of my models, like I like to skip over doing faces. It's for a video. Just because I have to typically hold the model like right up to my face when I'm painting faces and that. That's like damn near impossible to... If you're wondering that in terms of me filming my Golden Demon prep process, that's actually a good question. I think that for the earlier stages of it, it'll be easier because I'm going to be working sort of in broad strokes, so to speak, taking care of big picture kind of things. That'll be much easier to... What I'm doing today, though, it's not too hard to do. I'm not aiming for this. Just needs to look. I'm thinking that once the new Imperial Guard Codex comes out, I love Guard. I might make a couple videos about, you know, caching custom. I saw that there's this one guy who's posting on Reddit where he got a custom Guard regiment, and he didn't do all that much to change it. It's just the new Cadian bodies, but he swapped out the heads for like the Scion heads. that have the berets. And then he added like an extra little bit of armor to one of the shoulder pads. But like just those two little changes, plus the fact that he did some really excellent paint jobs, it gives him so much character. And it actually made me feel a little bit jealous because I feel like my my guard regiment is not nearly that unique. So I'm thinking I need to do that right. Believe what I'm gonna try and do. Make a veteran guardsman unit using the current like Krieg kill team rules, but I'm gonna truly, you know, make them look like veterans. Have every guy in the squad have a bit of customized gear that kind. Yeah, so you're right that trying to split concentration between film and you had mentioned like keeping everything in focus on the camera. I can't tell you how much footage I have had to kind of toss out because I was in my own zone painting and didn't notice that it was out of focus on the camera. But you know, you gotta you gotta work with what you can. It kind of comes down to just muscle memory, figuring out where your hands have to be in relation to the people in terms of getting quality. Just trying to stick to that, regardless of what you're doing. Well, if you really get into it, kind of see it here. Time I'm trying to focus on getting a clean line here. Stop mid talking and painting is kind of new for me. It is nice every now and again to get to paint something very basic in Lehman Run. Not trying to show off necessarily, trying to make a point. Not doing anything fancy. Just back to basic. Speaking of which, what are you all working on right now? Got any interesting projects in the pipeline? Should be good enough in terms of clean. Oh, wait. The end of the year has been a little bit slow in terms of Warhammer release. Very interesting. It seems like ever since they released that roadmap a while back, they sort of just said, "Oh, that's it. No more new stuff for the end of the year." I kind of wonder why they did that. Christmas season. For big new releases. Unless they surprise us. Perhaps the new Eldar guard stuff go on sale. Why they would leave that much. Oh, producing starter sets for the holiday seasons. Yeah, that could make sense. Although, I mean, at this point, ah, yeah, the release of Space Marine 2 really did have a huge effect. I remember seeing all over social media, like the month or so after its release. It's all anyone was talking about, even people who previously were not part of the hobby, not a part of the hobby at all. So yeah, that very well could be it. And then we've got the Amazon animation that's coming out on what, December 10th. That anthology secret level that might push some new interest as well. I wonder how much they had to pay to get included in that. Like amongst other titles, like this, like the Halo is going to be in there. There's Mass Effect, like so many big titles. With the camo that I want. Question is, where did I put my? Found it. You know, I can't really say whether or not it is one way or the other. Like, it could be that Amazon paid them for the license, which is pretty typical. But you have to wonder, with so many other like household names in terms of the gaming IPs that are going to be in there, would Amazon have approached them in the first place? Because if not, then I could absolutely see Games Workshop, you know, pulling some levers to try and get included. But who knows? I have no industry insight at all. I'm just off. this looks really messy and imprecise to you, that's because it is. Hopefully, I'll be able to clean it up to a satisfactory degree later. Oh, this is. Yeah, I'm excited to see how that animation goes. Uh, think, don't quote me on this, but I think I heard that the guy who did the Astartes animation may have helped on that project, which, if true, is pretty awesome. Loving that they're bringing back Titus, another little adventure. Yep. The turret. It's funny when I started back in the hobby about like 2 years ago. I said, yeah, I want to do a guard army. It's so cool just kind of being the regular human in such a, you know, grimdark, over the top universe. But after painting a couple Marines for videos and, you know, doing Titus in conjunction with the release of Space Marine 2, kind of got the Space Marine bug again. That was the army that I had when I was a little kid. And while I have not been 100% happy with the new art direction for Primaris Marines, gotta say the new scale is kind of amazing. Are really fun to paint. And when I went to Adepticon this year, in the bag of stuff that they gave, buying like the advance tickets, I did get a combat patrol. I might do a little Space Marine projects. See how. Oh yeah, you do Horus Heresy stuff a lot. I never really got into it. I read some of the books, but in terms of the tabletop stuff, which is weird because you know I always preferred the Firstborn aesthetic to Primaris, which I think is going to be the subject. Probably going to time it to time as. Like they teased us so hard in the beginning of Space Marine 2 by showing us what Titus looked like in the Death Watch wearing, you know, really cool set of Firstborn armor, and then they took it away for the rest of the game. Just gotta make sure that I'm not accidentally clogging up. I'm laying pretty. I feel like it matters a little bit less for vehicles, especially because I'm gonna really dirty this thing up, rusted and all over the place, losing a couple details. Yeah, I haven't read any of the more recent books on it, but I've heard of like things that happen, like the mistrust between the firstborn, especially in certain chapters, stronger than others between them and the new Primaris. And I do think that that is very interesting from a lore perspective. I'm certainly not against the introduction of them in the lore in that regard. It's just I like the design of like the old armors better. It's really mainly what it is. And I think that if I do end up building some marine, probably do some modifications to make them look and feel a little bit more like the older marine. Although they have gone in a decent direction in terms of like the Stern Guard veteran kit, I think looks pretty darn good. Them including some older Mark helmets, like the beaky helmets and the classic frowny face helmets. That certainly helps. That certainly helps. It's actually very interesting. Old firstborn helmets and shoulder pads, and I think even the backpacks are scale compatible with Prismarine. That opens up quite a bit of customization. I was thinking of trying to build basically a Primaris tactical squad. I also love the tactical. Not a huge fan. Single weapon only squad. Oh, yeah, the new Crusader squads. They absolutely. Especially, I love the new scouts. Scouts are great. I was always a fan of scouts back in the day, and the update on them. Although I think scout snipers gone, or can they still take snipe? I always loved scout snipe. Gone, they're gone. Doing the best that I can here. Some points. that part I will probably have to. One of these days, I am going to have finally learn how to use the airbrush that I got gifted last Christmas. Can't believe it's been almost a full year. Just too stubborn. Too stubborn of a brush purist for it. But I feel like it'd be saving me so much time. Although I don't quite know how to set it up and how much ventilation I need and all that. That's still an open. Hey Parker, how's it going? Yeah, this is the first stream that I have done in quite some time. I'm planning on doing them fairly regularly. Said probably once a week. See if Thursdays continues an. Yeah, yellow is an interesting color because it's so like paint dependent, I guess. Some yellow paints have terrible coverage. Some work pretty well. I happen to really like Averland Sunset, like a base color yellow. Nice and warm, not too oversaturated, and I think its coverage is actually quite good. I'm usually able to get a very solid coat in 2, maybe 3 layers. Oh, Parker, I don't know if I saw that that question. Did you leave a comment? And that's odd. But no, I well, sort of kinda. I didn't do it as extreme as I had intended on the original models. I did still uh I did still incorporate a little bit of purple into the shadow colors of the rest of the model, but it was more along the lines of the concept of using a mother color, they call it. But I didn't, yeah, I didn't do like the monocolor base coat like I had done. I think I just accidentally splashed paint water on Diet Coke. What a tragedy. Wonder if I can taste it. Yep, it's ruined. Shit. That'll teach me for keeping my drinking cup right next to my paint water cup. Or brush. Your cat slapped his tail into your wet palette. That's a new one. Yeah, I've heard all about the difficulties of painting with a cat in the house. I do not have any cat. I have a dog, and he usually doesn't come up here. Uh, Especially not now that the weather's kind of getting colder. He's a big fluffy dog, so he likes to spend his time outside when. Yeah, Parker, the concept itself wasn't flawed. It's just there was it was like a multitude of different issues piling onto each other that just made it so like halfway through I was like, oh, I really want to stop. But yeah, the concept is absolutely valid. Like I have seen other people do it, better success. I just yeah. Oh, it's all right. I'll do better in the next video. You can see him hanging out in the background. This is the subject. I'm doing a test scheme for custom Space Marine. I don't know if any of you saw the poll that I put, but as I was just talking about before, where I was doing a little Space Marine, thinking the direction. We'll see how he turns out after the video is done. I'm not entirely sure. I love the super dark green, but again, I have many more layers to go on top of that. Final color might look. Stream just cut out there. Lost all my metrics. Did I just freeze and cut out for you guys? Hello, hello, can you hear me? There's a little bit of a connection hiccup right there, I think. I just want to make sure that I'm still running okay. Alright, seems like it's still. Okay, Parker says that I did cut out. Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a connection issue there. Or were you just saying that yes, you can hear me? Not that I cut out. painting cam is a little bit choppy. Okay. I don't really know how to fix that. This is that's sort of this is the best I got at the moment. So as long as you can kind of see what's going on, then that's about as best as I can expect, I think. I may have to try some fine tuning with. I keep on getting a warning that my bit rate is wrong. I don't really. And this is the first stream I've done in a while. I'm not work, so. Well, it's good to know one way or the other. Um, like when you say choppy, do you mean like frame rate? Like the frame rate's not super smooth? I have to see what my broadcast setting is, whether or not it's at like 30 FPS or. I think especially for these types of streams, resolution is maybe not the most hard, so I have to set a little bit of that smoother. Yeah, I wonder if that's the bit rate. Well, I'll figure it out as now and whenever I do that. Yeah. Yeah, okay, that's it. I'll look into that. Yeah, and it was never really the intent of these streams to a painting tutorial necessarily, so I kind of just wanted to do this to hang out, talk to some of the fans of the channel, that kind of thing. Make some progress on my own pile of shame. I do have another camera, like a real proper camera, that I use typically when I'm filming like me talking face for the main YouTube videos, and I wonder if I could get that hooked up as a. I'm sort of worried about it because even when I'm just doing normal filming, it has a tendency of overheating, which seems strange because it's a camera that's designed for like vlogging, which I would assume should be able to film for quite a while. I don't know what's up with that. Typical. Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. If well, actually, no. I guess I was wondering the opposite, whether or not if I should sacrifice a little bit of resolution so that I can. You've seen the someone else overheat on camera before, like on stream. That's funny. Can't recall that ever happened. Wonder if like the main webcam that I have here that I have centered on my face seems pretty adequate for that job, but I know that there are like some higher end like 4K streaming webcams. I wonder if, like a Logitech video or something adequate for filming, that might be better than using my phone through a third-party app connection currently. Oh, it happens to infernal brush a lot? Yeah. I met a student of his at Adepticon who had also entered Golden Deep. He actually ended up getting one of the. They did. Trying to remember his. It was. I think it was Matei, Italian guy. He had nothing but the best to say about. What is Infernal Brush's real name? Last name is Sperryman, right? Because David Sperryman. He had nothing but good things to say about him, his style, and I could see it in the piece that he painted for Golden Demon. Heavy heavy metal style in. I think that was also his first time going to Golden Demon too. So I'm jealous that he made commended on his first time. Yeah, David Perriman. Okay, so or did I say Sperryman? Did I say Sperryman? I did. Oops. Yeah, I've never really been the biggest fan of the heavy metal style. Like it's super clean and it does its job in terms of creating that are great for photographing for box art. But yeah, I always much prefer the volumetric approach. Which the next video is going to focus on super heavily. So look forward to that. Diving even deeper into light placement, how that interacts with different shapes, and I think most importantly for this next, how it interacts with different materials. So we're going to be running the gamut from super matte surfaces to like a semi-gloss surface to non-metallic metal, brass, and then finally I'm going to do even a little bit of chrome. Not necessarily as like a tutorial or a deep dive in how to execute those techniques, but what those techniques tell us about how light behaves and how that can help you extrapolate. Ah, another Black Templar. One of my Patreon members doing Lett, doing Black Templars. So I was giving a little lesson Monday approach. And it's largely the same to how I would do any other color. You just have to be careful. The thing about black is that on sort of a conceptual level, your midtone being black makes it so that you have to do something to differentiate from your shadow color. So what ends up happening is you have to actually make your mid-tone like a dark gray. Just so that you leave room for there to be something darker. Yeah, so that's the thing is you don't actually have to leave that much black for it to still read as black. A very dark gray can still read as black as long as there is an appropriate amount of contrast with the other objects on the model. That's the so I think I may. Oh, here he is, Meister, guy that I was listening to on Monday. How you doing, John? And I think I said that when we were talking in our lesson. Actually, I just completely lost my train. Oh, right, yeah. I said to John in the lesson that, if you take a photo of an object that's black and, like, put it into Photoshop, use the color picker tool just to, like, see what colors are actually there, you'll find that almost none of it is actually black. It's all just shades of gray, and you perceive it as black because it is, the darkest thing in the room, so to speak. That's actually the same. The same goes for white. Like I know Travarian has talked about this in various videos. I also recall that exact same advice about taking a photo. Yeah, exactly. Taking a photo of it. I believe that Vince Venturella was the one that said that. Oh yeah, are you trying to work with like warmer grays? Grays are so hard to blend. They are real nightmare. Just my only advice for that is always blend with the darker color. Like blends down, don't. So place all your highlights roughly using your lighter colors and then blend. And you do it in multiple steps if you have to. It's always going to be a challenge. Sort of moving up into your highlights, fighting it back down, moving back up, like a game of tug of war. But you'll get it eventually. Nothing wrong with taking a long time on your first models when you're trying to master something like that. I used to take absolute ages. I have found now getting a lot more used to that faster. A lot faster. Yeah, you're really not gonna. Yeah, Parker, that whole difference between reading like metal versus reading as a painted armor is exactly what I'm going to be talking about in the next. It's all about uh, the ratios of your highlight. I'm going to get pretty technical with it. I think I'm going to. I might. I might title the video something along the lines of like, to become a great painter, you have to be a scientist. We're not going to be doing formulas in math, but I am going to do basically a little lesson in optics. Difference between specular and diffuse reflections, that kind of. The challenge is going to be figuring out a way to present it in a way that is both entertaining and accessible. I wonder how difficult it would be to make my custom Bill Nye the Science Guy. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this next video too. Like the past two that I did, the E3 paints review and then the whole work one, didn't do all that well, and I kind of understand why. Like, they're the kind of video that I think you would only really watch if you know the creator. And since my channel is still kind of small, it's kind of expected that they wouldn't have super great reach. But like these videos where I'm trying to teach these much more complicated subjects, these always seem that's because universally applicable. Also, I've been told, so I've been told I have kind of a unique. Morgeist, how did I learn about all this? So, I do have a little bit of a science background. Like, I studied physics and math when I was in college. Always really like an enthusiast about it. Even going back as far as like when I was in school, a friend of mine, like, they had a science challenge competition. Me and him came in first place in the optics competition, despite the fact that we're supposed to bring. Didn't bring. But another part of it is just like careful observation of the world around me. Like whenever I'm out walking the dog or something, I'm always taking a look at everything around me and analyzing it critically. Take reference photos, take videos. Some of it, I think, part of this video is I will show some actual footage of me walking around and examining objects in real life and how they behave when the light hits them. So it really is just kind of trying to look at life with a critical, artistic eye. That's definitely something that I would recommend everyone do if you're really trying. Certainly can. And working from reference photos, it's always. I actually have, I think I've posted 2 reference photo libraries on the Patreon, but I'm thinking about putting together another one that is a little bit more comprehensive, because the ones that I had posted are very. One of them was pictures of armor from the museum that was meant to be like a non-metallic metal reference. The other one was a bunch of tanks, World War II vehicles and stuff that I saw at another museum. Obviously to get rust patterns and dirt and grime, more industrial imagery in there. I want to do one that's maybe a little bit more reliant. Saw Artist Opus comment on one of my videos, one size 3 being the way to go. Yeah, so the size 3 has become my go-to. It's funny. I didn't like it at first. The brush needed like a couple of days to sort of break in, if that makes any sense. But now I really do love it. And I had previously been using Winsor & Newton size 1. That was 2. Let me see if I can show you what they look like. This size 1 is in a little bit rough shape. Forgive me if I can't get a perfect tip on it. But I'll give you a little size comparison. You can see that the size 3 Artist Opus is not that much bigger. It's a little bit longer, and the belly is a little bit fuller. They both come to a really, really fine point. So the reason that I like the size 3 just a little bit better is because of that larger size and slightly width. It just holds a little bit more paint. That means fewer times that I need to go back to the wet palette. It really is as simple as that. Having that big belly in there also allows you to keep a lot of wet paint in there, which can help with precision work, like drawing fine lines, because that big belly of the brush acts like a reservoir. I compare it to like a fountain pen, and so it allows the paint to just flow out of it so smoothly for a longer period of time. That's really yeah, Gab. Going for a really small brush like that for ultra precision details is sometimes what I'll do as well. Uh, but the main reason I'll do it is because I feel like I can't reach into like a small crevice as precisely as when I'm using the size 3, because the size 3, if you take care of it, the tip on it should be just as precise as a smaller brush, especially like in the summers where I'm painting, where things are so dry. um, Using a tiny brush like that just dries up so fast. That's yeah. Yeah, it's funny, Parker. I've been to Southern California. I know how dry it is, but I live in like lower New York, like near New York City, and it's actually rather humid climate. It's just that I have my painting set up in my attic, and it gets unbelievably hot up here during the summers. So I have to run a lot of air conditioning. That's what dries out the. Now that it's cooled down, it's different. It's funny, like seasonally, I have to employ different painting techniques. Now I can do wet blending than I could before. You got 16 Winsor and Newton brushes off of Amazon? Holy shit. That is wild. And they're like the sable brushes? That's. If you got 16 sable brushes for the price of 4, my god, you struck gold. Because, like, yeah, I've moved on to the size 3 Artist Opus, but, like, the Winsor and Newton ones are still very good. It'd make more sense to me if they accidentally gave you 16, like, synthetic brushes. Which, nothing wrong with synthetic brushes. Not great for. There's just no way to keep them from getting a Wow, that's lucky. And I didn't know that about it being law in the U.S. that you can keep things if you're sent them. Keep that in mind if I ever get sent anything by mistake. Get that. Oh, that's interesting. Didn't know that about scam vac. Scams so ever present. Moved on now to just sending me a million phone calls every day. It's so funny that the scam phone calls have become such a problem that the phone carriers have now developed a way to automatically detect and block them, flag them. Like, that's insane. Better hope that the ATF is not watching this stream. I do not endorse or condone any sort of any sort of mail order firearm shenanigans. Oh yeah, Parker, exactly the same. I do not pick up for numbers. Hasn't gotten me into trouble yet, but who knows? Maybe I've missed an important call from someone real, but too rampant. Even you know, spam texts happen sometimes too. Like, have you heard of the they call it what? Pig butchering or pig slaughtering scam, where someone will text you some kind of random thing like, "Oh, hey Dave, are we still going out to dinner tonight?" And you're like, "My name's not Dave," but then they try and engage you in a conversation anyway. Try and scam you at long distance. The pig slaughter comes in when they finally pull the plug and steal all the money that you're the pig in that scenario. They fatten you up by pretending to be your friend or a love interest or something like that, and then boom, they bring the butcher's cleaver down. Yeah, I remember watching a video on it, and apparently, like, the owner of like some smaller regional bank fell for one of those scams and lost like 50 gave like $50 million away out of like the bank's funds. Pretty wild. Yeah. Yeah, for a while. Like it all came into existence during COVID times, I think, because uh like organized criminals, especially in like Asia, who used to run like gambling parlors, had suddenly lost all their income, so they needed to figure something else out, and that's where like these scam calls. And yeah, my wife used to get texts all the time back then, and we had no idea what the hell was going on. We're like, these are so bizarre. What's even happening? And we didn't like immediately clock them as a scam at first either, because like, you know, obviously we didn't respond, we didn't engage in the conversation, and we were just thinking like why are we getting so many wrong number texts? Why are people asking me if we're still on for going out to dinner? Like no, I am not a an eye doctor. Sorry, I can't help you. No, that's exactly what it is. The gang turned into a phone center. And then they kept doing it because it was like more profitable than running the with this final camo line going on here. I think I'm gonna have to end the stream now. It is time for me to go to the gym. Was really great having you guys here to hang out. It was really great talking to you, and see you next week. Try and do this again. Probably on Thursday night again, but maybe on Wednesday. I will next time announce it in advance. Maybe we'll even get more people in here. Surprised that we managed to actually get as many as we did, because when I first tried streaming a while ago, nobody showed up. So again, thank you. Great chatting. See you next time.